Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here today. As Megan said, my name's Jennifer Holmes, and I'm the CEO of LINX. I'm delighted to be here today, a year after I took over from Curtis as CEO, and a year after our 30th birthday celebration. So, were there anybody here who was there at the birthday celebrations? Yeah? So, can you believe it was a year ago? I can't quite. But can you also believe it's 18 years ago since I started working for LINX? I know I don't look old enough, do I? So just a bit of reflection from my part on that. So to tie in with that, I'd like to start a little bit by focusing on our growth since then, since a year ago. We've had a net growth of 30 members, which is interesting and really great to see this year. So back in the day, we used to see very rapid net membership growth every year, and that's actually sort of stagnated a bit in recent years. So it's really good to see that that growth this year, and to see more members becoming part of the LINX community. Also, in the last year, we've connected over 2 terabits of additional capacity across all of our global LANs, which we're really pleased with. And this has included more than 70 new 100 gig ports and 12, which I believe is now 13 or 14 new 400 gig ports. So we're really speeding up. I think we've connected as many 400 gig ports in the last year as we had done in previous years. So all of this has resulted in more traffic peaks, with an additional sort of 1 terabit traffic peak early in the year to what we've seen previously this time last year. So aside from the numbers, we've also seen progress in other areas, and this is just a snapshot of some of the announcements that we've made in the past year, including our recent additional peering services speed of 130 gig and 150 gig, more of which you'll hear about in a minute in Mike's presentation at the product slot. We've also recertified ISO 27001, which Dan's actually going to talk about later on the agenda. That's a really big sort of project for us that we're now in a good routine with that, and we're really pleased to be able to share that with everybody that we've recertified for that as well. So as well as many significant network upgrades across some of the different LANs, we did perform quite a big upgrade for our partners, Center 3 in Saudi Arabia. So that also happened early in the year. We successfully deployed OpenBGPD on our LOM1 root servers, and that was the milestone that completed the rollout of OpenBGPD at every LINX LAN. So very proud of that, and well done to our engineering team. And finally there, you can see a clip of our partnership with Asteroid over in Kenya. And this partnership's seeing us welcome the Asteroid customers onto our platforms in Nairobi and Mombasa, and that is very prominent at the moment. There's lots of work going on there at the moment to move all of the customers over. I'm just smiling at Sean because he's literally doing one now to move all those customers over by the end of the year. So just a bit of a brief look at the past year. But it's very nice to talk about the past, but I would like to spend more time talking about the future, and provide you with a bit of an overview of our 2026 to 2028 company strategy. And it's a plan that builds on our strengths and responds to the challenges in our industry, but also focuses mostly on how we can bring more value to our members. This year, we've spent significant time working on our strategy. Moving on from our current strategy that we're focused on 3 pillars of sustain, optimize, and grow. As I said, we spent lots of time this year focusing lots of work on things like market analysis, a lot of member feedback, partner feedback, talking to all of you here, speaking to members around the world, and working with a lot of our partners, our data center partners, and also a bit of navel gazing. You know, what are we actually trying to do here? How do we actually want to move forward with this in order to plan for our next 3-year strategy? So firstly, it's important to identify and unpack our strengths and how we should be using those more to our advantage. And this sounds like a really obvious thing to do, but actually when you sit there and really pick out what our strengths are, what can we be doing more of what we're doing already, and what makes us different. So firstly, and most importantly, is all of you. It's our membership community. The hundreds of networks and partners that we work with every day, we have really good relationships with, and we get a lot of information and knowledge from you guys. And then also our not-for-profit model, which is very unique. We're built for the members, not for shareholders, meaning that every decision we make, we're always asking ourselves, what would the members say? Does this bring value to the members? I often say that the membership is like my fourth child. I'm always thinking of how it's going to affect the members and how we're going to move forward. How does it bring value to the members? So that's really important for us, that we're keeping it locked into the members. Our expectation and reputation, so decades of experience of technical innovation, always being at the forefront of the technical advancements in our area, and our reliability, touch wood, very well respected in the industry. It's a big strength of ours to focus on. And last but not least, our customer service. So it's our 24/7 knock and our consultative, ethical approach to account management that really can set us apart in an industry like ours. So these strengths define who we are as a company, and we've used them this year to guide us in how we plan to grow in the coming years. We realize we need to play to our strengths and not try and reinvent the wheel as such. So once we've spent time really focusing on those, the obvious thing to do is to focus on some of the challenges. We spent a lot of time focusing on the challenges that we're facing. We're realistic about these challenges, and we're not trying to shy away from them. A first big one is traffic patterns are changing in lots of different ways, but content providers are adapting their network designs. Many of us would have heard various presentations in the industry in the last few months and the last year. Here you can see a latest announcement from Germany earlier in the month. I think Vodafone are in the room, but yeah, sorry to single you out there. Yeah, Germany, it's Germany. But it's an example of lots of stories and lots of activities that's been happening in the industry recently, and we've been very conscious of this, very aware of it, and making sure that we're taking note. But also back at home, growth from our traditional markets in the UK is arguably slowing down. On the right there's a graph that's been taken from the iSoc Pulse tool, and this shows membership and connected capacity across all IXPs in the UK. So this isn't just us, there's some of the others as well, and including LAP. And there you can see that continuous growth over the years starting to sort of plateau a bit in recent years. Now this data is taken from Peering DB, so it's all, it's about trends, not, specific numbers as such. And on screen there's also some examples of some of the smaller IXPs that are entering the market over on the continent, driving price pressures over there. Now I say small, but then there's some of them that aren't that small. Especially in Amsterdam, there's some new entrants to the market that are regularly peaking at over a terabit of traffic. Some one's got 2 terabits of peak traffic. So these are all things that we've been keeping our eyes on, but whilst at the same time realizing it's not all doom and gloom. As mentioned earlier, we've had some really great wins this year. We've seen that overall membership growth, that global membership growth, which is really important for us to diversify moving forward. And overall growth in revenue as well, which is great to see in this climate. Continuous traffic peaks on the different lands and connected capacity there. You can see some of the connected capacity growth on some of our lands over the past year, as well as really great wins with some of our relationships in the industry, working with our members and partners. So it's good to recognize the positives as well as the challenges. So what exactly is our focus going to be for the next 3 years? So in our last strategy, we had our 3 pillars: sustain, optimize, grow. This strategy, we've got our 4 key priorities. The UK remains at the heart of LINX, and our first objective is to strengthen our leadership here at home. So to do this, we plan to continue investing in London and Manchester, ensuring that both of these locations remain global, competitive interconnection hubs. Growing Manchester as a true alternative to London for peering. Manchester had another really great year this year. You can see a very faint, terrible graph there, but just a snapshot of a Manchester peak from earlier this year. It's continuing to grow. You saw on the earlier slide that connected capacity growth up in Manchester. So we're really passionate about Manchester. what more we can be doing there and what more support we can be giving to that community up there. Also expanding our service offerings, so beyond peering to bring more value to the members, what more products can we be offering? And lastly, for the UK, really promoting LINX's brand in the industry and promoting our progress and leadership in things like resilience and compliance and ESG. And by doing all this, we plan to sustain that traffic growth in the UK. So we've spotted that it's changing and we want to sustain it. We want to offer more value by ensuring a thriving Manchester exchange and promoting, whilst keeping that traffic stable in London, and promoting LINX to be seen as an authoritative voice for interconnection in the UK. So that's our first priority. And secondly is about developing that product portfolio to encourage diversification. So today, most of LINX's revenue comes from our LON1 peering LAN. Now, that's been a strength for us in the past, but it could also be seen as a risk, and we're very aware of that. As you've seen from earlier slides, the challenges that we're facing in that traditional market, the challenges that traditional IXPs are facing on the continent. We need to be very realistic about that, and we need to be agile as a company. So we'll be growing by developing adjacent services, so things that our members already need and already use. So like examples like our co-location product, our port-based offerings. So recently, not so recently now, but introducing more products like private VLANs, closed user groups, maps, cloud services. What more could we be offering with the infrastructure we already have? Also, there's other products that we have, like the managed IXPs, just focusing more on that. Is there any more we can be doing, any more revenue we can getting from those areas, whilst at the same time continuously brainstorming, speaking to the members and coming up with new products that can add value. So by 2028, we aim for a much broader revenue mix, trying to diversify away from LON1 a bit. So that doesn't mean reducing LON1, it just means filling in the gaps with other areas and really diversifying. And also aiming to see more members with multiple services. So thirdly is our global expansion efforts. We've already established key regions like Kenya, Ghana, and Ashburn in North America. And we'll focus on making these IXPs successful and sustainable. So our aim isn't just growth for growth's sake. The idea is we're really strategic, measured, and long-term about these. We tailor each region's approach, so we're not just flag planting, we're not just trying to cookie cutter everywhere we go to do the same thing and try and get as many flags in as many places as possible. We're investing where we believe we can actually add some real value, where we can build that local engagement with the local community and the partners there, and strengthen our global partnerships. And the overall aim is to really see that steady revenue growth from outside of the UK to support local sustainability and for LINX to become top-tier provider in each of the locations we're in. So we're not just going to build it and leave it, we're going to build it, make sure it's a success, and make sure it's contributing back to the LINX community. And there you can see very faintly a steady growth of Nairobi on Mombasa there over the year. And we hope to see the same in Ghana soon. And then finally, none of this is going to work without a strong foundation at our core. So this means coming back to our people, our systems, and our culture, making sure we really stay efficient and compliant and ready for change. Investing in our staff is very important to us, making sure that we've got staff that are engaged and passionate about the work they do. So being able to give clear direction and empowering teams is really a priority. Introducing smarter processes, better tooling, including automation and AI, continue focus on well-being, as I said, and professional growth. That career development for people is really important. And also stronger reporting governance so that we can make quicker decisions. We can make sure that we're compliant and leading the way there. But the overall outcome is obviously to build this resilient organization which delivers more value without increasing costs or increasing complexity. So that's a real focus on that for us. So that's it really. In summary, our strategy is about staying strong. It's about staying relevant and resilient, not through sudden changes or pivoting, but by building on the things that make us unique and that give us our strength today. staying true to what makes us special, so our community, our reliability, and our collaborative spirit within our industry. So over the next 3 years, to summarize, we focus on strengthening our leadership in the UK, diversifying our products and services, focusing our international efforts in a really targeted and sustainable way, and building that resilience and excellence from inside LINX together with all of you guys. So thank you for supporting us, and thank you for being part of our journey today and as we move forward. And are there any questions? Looking for a microphone, James. Someone?
Hi, James Rice, Jump Networks. One thing you didn't mention with regards to staying relevant is any kind of reform of the pricing scheme. The lack of burstability on ports is one of the things that's driving traffic away from LINX. It's causing harm to traffic because people are hitting rate limits and they don't know about this. It's a pricing scheme which everybody else left alone in the late 1990s, and it really is, it's difficult to see how you can keep going forwards with not allowing burstable ports.
Yeah, I feel like I'm stealing a bit of thunder from Mike, who's coming up in a minute. We're not making any terribly exciting announcements today about pricing, but I think you'll see from the amount of extensive work that we've put in this year, we're very aware of the challenges and we're very aware of the different pricing pressures that we're under. And it is always a focus for us, and we're constantly modeling different pricing strategies. We've got board members in the room here today that can can talk more about the different pricing models that we bring. Burstable ports and utilization-based billing is something we are looking at all the time. There's very good reasons why we haven't introduced it earlier in earlier years, but we have definitely got a huge effort on pricing for the beginning of next year. We're very aware that it's a concern and it's a challenge for us. But at the same time, we're also really proud that we have managed to not put pricing up, which is going on in this industry. We've sort of dealt with inflation well and managed to manage our costs that way. But yeah, we'll take your feedback on board, definitely. And I want to reassure you, it's definitely something that we're looking at, and we hope to make progress next year. But again, I'm stealing a little bit of Mike's thunder, but not too much, but he's worried. Thank you, James. We've got Mark down here. I don't know everybody's names, by the way. Oh, I know all the members.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you very much. You mentioned you'd done some research recently around competitive analysis, by the sounds of it, mentioned Amsterdam. Is that available to us as members?
I'm trying to think. So we've done a lot of market analysis, and we actually produce internal documents, like market analysis documents, that could arguably, parts of that could be shared. Obviously, we need to be careful about sensitivities, and I'm sure in any industry, people are keeping an eye on the competitors and the new entrants into the market. But yeah, interesting one. I'll have a look and see if there's anything that we can share.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Marty Strong Club there. You mentioned about the new POPs being for community good rather than planting a flag. How do you determine where it's needed? Is there some process or?
Well, funnily enough, I actually thought there was going to be an agenda item today when Nirani was going to talk exactly about that, so we'll save that for next time. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to speak to that, Nirani? Because I can, yeah. Good question.
Yeah, I can try to say a few quick words about it. Well, normally when we look at lots of different markets. When we decide to go into market, it's often because we have someone on the ground who's asked us to come in. We get lots of requests in lots of different markets for us to come and work and collaborate. Often with data center partners, but then once something has kind of come on our radar, we do lots of different things. So we do just general market analysis. We look at, is there a viable market? Are there enough of a size, enough AS numbers and things like that? But we also look at, do we have members in that market that could be better served locally? And the other thing is we try to actually speak to both people on the ground, but also some of the larger hyperscalers to understand if us coming in will actually serve that market well. The other thing we look at is also, is that market served well already? So there are markets that might be super interesting and they're growing, but we see that it has a good local IXP, or it might have 2 IXPs. And if we think that going in will actually fragment that market, then we will probably avoid it for now. So in general, what we look at, I try to sort of summarize it by saying, we look at places where we can do well. Obviously, there needs to be a business case. I can't just go to the board and say, hey, this is a nice place, let's go there. But also in places where we can do good. Do we believe that building an IXP here will help that community grow? And do we believe that there's a sustainability path as well, where it might not actually have a huge effect in the first year, but maybe in the coming 5 to 10 years. So those are a few of the things that we look at. But yeah. Happy to talk more during the break.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Tom. I've never been asked so many questions. Very exciting. Yeah, sorry, we've got some deadlines today, but yeah, go on, Tom.
Sorry, I can take this to a break and talk about it afterwards if you want, but I'm just interested. It's a great strategy, by the way. And, as a member, what sort of governance risks are there for operating in multiple new regions across the globe, right? This must be on your, board risk register of law and compliance in other countries and regulation. So does that pose a major risk? Or are we okay and, you can continue to go to new regions and do the great thing? And
short answer is no, it does not pose a major risk because of all the work we do before we go in, right? We have to be really careful about where we're going and what that means for us. Essentially, we need to protect the mothership back home. We need to protect London. So Malcolm, if he's not already here, will be here later. I suggest that, we can go into more depth on that. But the short answer is no risk.
no, that's great.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.